Welcome to the Open to Hope Show. I'm your host, Dr. Heidi Horsley, and I'm here today with our guest to talk about the do's and don'ts of supporting grieving people. What should we do and what shouldn't we do? And I love this topic because after my brother died, there were so many things that people said and did that were great and that helped me and supported me, but there were also things that were not helpful. So for everybody out there that is watching today and wants to know, hey, how do I help people that are grieving? We have some guests that will be great to let you know how to do that. And I'm going to introduce them, and they're right here with me today. Hello, everybody.
Hello. Hi.
So first we're going to start with Lori Morales. Lori is a bereaved mom and sibling. In 2009, her son Jonathan died at just 16 years old in a fatal car accident. Lori is also Willy's sister. Willy passed in 2019 from pancreatic cancer. Lori studied under David Kessler and received her grief counselor's certification. She presents workshops at the Compassionate Friends National Conferences, and she is on the Inclusion and Diversity Committee for the Compassionate Friends. Welcome, Lori.
Thank you.
So she's also very involved in the Staten Island chapter, right?
Yes.
Shout out to Staten Island because they have an amazing chapter.
Yes.
And I love it. Okay, next to her is Raul, her spouse, Raul Morales.
Hi.
Hey, Raul. Raul was a Port Authority police sergeant in New York City for almost 30 years. His son Jonathan died of a fatal car accident at the age of 16, and his brother Roberto died of fentanyl poisoning in 2023. Raul is on the Compassionate Friends Inclusion and Diversity Commission and is a workshop presenter at the National Compassionate Friends Conferences. He also serves on the National Board of Directors for the Compassionate Friends. Welcome, Raul.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Love that you're on the board. I know you recently joined. I was a board member for 8 years. Thank you for everything you both are doing for Compassionate Friends.
Thank you.
And next to Raul is Nate McClendon. Nate is a speaker, a music educator, a musician, and an author. His book, The Emerging You, was born from the loss of his 18-year-old daughter, Naomi, who died from an accidental fall from a 10-story building in 2014. Nate is involved with the Compassionate Friends, where he has performed on stage in the opening and closing ceremonies at national conferences. Nate also gives workshops for the Compassionate Friends. And Nate, The Emerging You has also got a workbook that you're working on.
Coming out, yes. Mm-hmm.
Coming out. Very good. Welcome, Nate.
Thank you.
So you've all had the experience of having a child die. And I know that you're very, familiar with what has helped and what hasn't. I think we'll start with just telling us a little bit about your story, and then we'll dive into what's been helpful and what isn't helpful. Laura, you want to start?
Sure. So my son, as you said, was 16. In high school, he was a dual sport athlete, football and baseball, and he excelled at everything. And one day we went home, he took the car for a joyride with his friend, and they had an accident, and it was fatal for my son, and his friend survived, thank God.
Mm.
And now his friend became an NYPD police officer.
Wow.
He's in touch with us. He rings the bell all the time. And this is our story, and we're good. We're okay. It's 16 years now. So what we're doing is paying it forward and just trying to help the community, anyone who needs, because this journey is not an easy one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you. And what about you, Raul?
Well, Jonathan, our son, it's a little nuanced because I'm a stepdad,
Mm-hmm.
but I raised him since he was 2 years old. I've been in his life, but everybody that knows him and knows me knew me as his father.
Mm-hmm.
So I was his dad.
Yeah.
And I bring that little extra piece to other people that are stepdads as well, because some people sometimes have a little issue with the fact that, oh, well, you're not his biological father.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean anything, because love is love and grief is grief. When you have the loss, that is worldwide. That's everybody, and we're all the same. We're all human, and that's what I bring to that. And I'm just glad that I'm being part of the TCF and also to the board, and being a police officer for so many years. As a public servant, I just feel that I have that heart of a servant to serve others and to help and to give back as well.
And I love that you're talking about the idea of a stepfather, because that word kind of bothers me. You know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, secondary, but like you're saying, you were his father.
Yes.
You showed up as his father. You were very connected to him. And our kids come to us in many ways. And I was saying before the show, my daughter's adopted. She's, she was born from my heart. I mean, she's as important to me as my son, and she is my daughter. So I like that you have pointed that out.
Thank you.
And Nate, what about you?
Yes, so my daughter, as you had mentioned, she was 18 years old. She was a freshman in college. And we were on the phone. It was my wife's birthday.
Wow.
Yeah, it was my wife's birthday. And we were on the phone talking to Naomi. And for whatever reason, that evening, we must have been on the phone for about an hour. It was a really long phone call and just discussed everything in the world. It was a beautiful, beautiful phone call. Anyways, that night, she had gone out with some of her friends, and they were going around town. There was a young man following them, and Naomi tried a drug that she was given that evening, and it was a hallucinogenic, and it had an effect on her. So, thinking that she was intoxicated, some of her friends, they put her in a friend's apartment, thinking maybe you just need to sleep this off. But she wasn't intoxicated; she was hallucinating.
Oh, wow.
And so she had kind of come to and found herself in an unforeign place. And the thing about the drug she had taken is it makes you feel weightlessness.
Oh, wow.
And so because of that, the only way out was the balcony. And so she was out on the balcony in an unfamiliar place, lost her balance, and fell from that. And obviously, traumatic experience for all of us and very sudden.
Yeah.
But added to that is the having a stigmatized death as well, because it was hard for that to be her final moments and everything that surrounds those circumstances. But for my wife Judy and our daughter Violet, just the transformation that it's had on us in having to reflect on who Naomi was, and then what she was now showing us about life, even in her passing, has really been life-changing. To where, as you mentioned in my bio, I'm writing books, I'm speaking. There's just a lot that I have learned about people and about life that has come through knowing my daughter.
Right. And you're making a good point, because, I mean, the way that my brother and your kids died is a moment in time. It doesn't tell us who they were.
Right.
And people are really interested in how they died, but they're not interested in how they lived.
Right.
Yes.
So sometimes when I tell people want to know how Scott died. When I tell them, then they change the topic, and I'm like, wait a minute. I actually want to talk about who he was,
Right.
and what I miss, and how amazing he was.
It's
So-
interesting because that idea of asking how someone died, a lot of times people are looking for information to relieve them from fear. And what I have learned is if we believe we can have control over a situation, then we can place blame and say, okay, well, I just won't do that, and this won't happen to me. Just removing ourselves, or believing that we still have a certain amount of control.
I totally agree with you, Nate. People don't want to hear that my brother and cousin were wearing their safety belts. Because they want to believe that everything is in control in life, right?
Yep.
And nothing's ever going to happen to us if we do things a certain way. And it's like, unfortunately, a lot of things are out of our control. Except for our attitudes, which is why I love the three of you today, because despite everything you've been through and walking through the depths of the worst thing that, imaginable, you've found hope, you found the light. And I want to know what helped you. I guess we can start with that, or what didn't help you. How do you want to start, Lori?
What helped me was my faith. Had it not been for the Lord, and I had an issue with it in the beginning.
Okay.
I did. I'm not going to lie and say that, but I was angry, and I stopped going to church. And then one day I woke up and I said, no, this is not, so I started going back to church. And
how long
got back into
after
the book.
Jonathan's death did you start going back to church?
About 3 months.
Okay, so for the first 3 months you were angry.
Oh, I was very angry. I was like, but like they say, your arms are too short to box with God, right?
You were angry at God.
Yeah, so yes, I was. And, I came around and, he knows our pain because, right, he lost his son. So I went back to church and I just let that, work with me and work in my heart. And here we are 16 years later. So I decided to do the whole certification of grief counseling so that I can pay it forward. and help folks out of the abyss, because I've been there.
I love that.
And
It is
unless you've been
it is
there,
an abyss.
yeah, it's an abyss. It's a, it's a dark place.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it does get better. It can get better. It will get better with time.
Yeah, I think it's important for people to hear that, because sometimes they don't believe it, which I
Yeah.
understand.
Yes, yes.
'Cause I
Breathing,
didn't.
breathing gets better, gets easier. It's just different. It's a whole different life, you know.
And what about you, Raul?
Well, I was also angry,
Yeah.
angry at God, but I'm going to rely on my faith as well, and that helped. And I was just telling Nate before, July 29th is our wedding anniversary, and in 2009, when my son passed in October, in July 29, 2009, it was our 10-year anniversary, and this is why I believe that God prepares us in some way, and He kind of put a note on it, because we had this renewal of vows. I'm sorry, renewal.
Yeah, renewal
Yeah.
vows.
Yeah, renewal of
That
vows.
makes sense.
And it was amazing.
Yeah.
We were good. And Jonathan was there, and all the kids were there, and the family was there. Our pastor was there. We had a great time.
Yeah.
And I think we were just solid. And I think that it was almost like God is going to prepare us. You want to make sure that we're solid, because in a couple of months, something's going to come.
Yeah.
And the thing is that before Jonathan happened, when we went through that whole situation, I think it was necessary that and I look back, and hindsight is always 20/20. And we were talking about that. I look back, and he kind of put it in perspective when Nate mentioned, when you look back and you say, well, that now I can see that God did this and God did that, and He prepared here, and this is why I can now, instead of me getting upset and saying, hey God, why do I have to go to the cemetery to visit my son? Now I understand, okay, there's a bigger reason, and you know what, it's not under my understanding, and I just have to keep the faith. And
Eventually you were able to get there.
Yes.
Okay. And initially it was the same as Lori, right?
Yes.
You were angry?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I remember yelling and screaming.
Yeah.
And there were nights where I would even if I would hear like a car screeching down I would yell, get up out of the window and yell out the window.
What would you yell?
Yell at the top of my lungs.
Is that my son? Yeah.
No, I was yelling at the top of my lungs, because it was just coming out of a sleep. But we were,
Yeah.
But He carried me through that, and I believe that. I really do.
What about you, Nate?
Yeah, so most people don't think this when they meet me, but I'm actually an introvert, and most of my life is in here. I spend a lot of time just in here. So for me, this process of grieving was really a search for meaning. The loss of Naomi, it was really like an existential crisis.
Yeah.
I watched that entire 18-year-old life from day one to year 18. I saw that whole thing beginning to end. And now that it's gone, I had to figure out, well, what did that life mean? What was it for? What was the purpose? What was the goal of that life? And I couldn't not think about that. And it's not just, why did my daughter die? That's one of the initial questions that we're all facing. Why is my child not here? But the next one is like, what did that life even mean? And that gets to a much deeper question, which is, what does any life mean, or what does life itself mean? Again, like I said, I get way into my head, but that's what my pursuit was answering those kind of questions. In discovering about Naomi, hearing, from her friends or from other people as they're grieving too and sharing stories, going through her things, all of a sudden, everything that she possessed became hugely valuable, right? Like anything that was left in her room, we had to clean out her dorm room.
That's
And
tough.
the process of going through that, when these cut off shorts, the half-eaten banana on those are like priceless things. I want to, pack them all up and ship them home. That taught me something. Like, how could these things be so valuable? They're valuable because they are attached to her and from her.
Right.
So a lot of my initial grief discovery and having to deal with that was exploring what is life worth, what is value, how do you determine it, who has it, and how is that recognizable? And in doing so, not only did I discover the worth and the value of my daughter, but of myself and of everybody else. So it really became like a shift in how you start to see all people.
Yeah.
And that's what that was like for me. Not without huge pain and the up and down,
Right.
because there's days you just don't feel right.
Yeah.
Because nothing makes sense. Your paradigm has been
Yeah.
destroyed. But it really was a search for meaning.
So, what were things that other people did or said that were not helpful?
Oof.
Because, a lot of people don't get the death of a child. They don't
No.
understand
Yeah.
that. They
Right.
don't get it.
Yeah, I believe that the world is grief illiterate. I've heard stuff like, well, at least you have more children. You know, it's like, well, what if I asked you to give up one of yours? Which one would you give? You know, that doesn't make sense. You know, they just say, and they mean well.
Right.
You know, and because they're grief illiterate, they're not sure what to say. So a lot of people, you end up losing friends because they rather shy away from you than be there, not know what to say, or afraid of saying the wrong thing. You know, but and then there are those, like I had a friend who, she came and she sat Shiva with me. Didn't even know what Shiva was. I looked it up, you know, and I said, this is what Jackie did, and I loved
Wow.
it. She came and she was just there.
Yeah.
She didn't say a word. She let me just be, and I loved that.
That's
I loved
great.
it. Yeah, yeah.
I always say before my brother died, I used to send a card when someone died. Now I send myself.
Yes. Oh, we've done that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Raul?
I think, I learned to understand that people try to make it to themselves. They relate to something that they know. And let's say if, oh, I know what you're going through. I lost my dog, and when I lost my dog, it was the worst thing ever. And I look at them and I say, and I get it from their perspective. They're trying to empathize and trying to feel from somewhere where they're, and so I don't get upset about it. But I get it. I understand that. But the thing is that it's not the same.
Right.
And the fact is that, you know what, and I would tell my wife that, and I would say, yeah, but see, but this is people because they're trying to empathize, and I get it. But those kind of things, you know, if you really look at it, you know, from what it is,
It doesn't help.
Right. Yeah.
you can
That
get
makes
really
sense.
upset.
Yeah.
You know? But
Yeah. And for me, it's not so much what people say, it's what they do. So some of the experiences I had, I was a music teacher at the time. And after Naomi died, who also went to the same school, so everyone there knew her. But I would walk down the hallways, like between classes or going to my class, and I would just clear a hallway. People could see me coming from the other side, and they would all just like, I don't know how to deal with them. I don't know how to face them. And I'm talking about the adults, the other teachers. So they would turn down this hallway or turn down, like I would just
Wow.
clear a hallway.
Yeah.
So that was difficult. You know, we talk about secondary losses, to have the world kind of like, I don't know how to deal with this person,
Yeah.
so I'm going to move away. You talk about sitting Shiva. That's what my students did for me. They would say, McClendon shouldn't be alone. They would show up to my classroom before school, after school, at lunch, just to hang there, not to do or say anything. You know, what is a 15-year-old going to say to me that's going to, it wasn't about that. It was just
Right.
about
That's
being there.
awesome. Wow.
But here's what I want to say about that is when you're in that position, in that stage of grief, you are rebuilding your world because your world has just collapsed and you're trying to figure out what matters, what doesn't, including who can I trust, who can I count on, who's there. You're rebuilding your whole social network, your whole framework.
Yeah.
Do I even trust people at all? And so my advice to people who are friends of bereaved people is be there is the most important thing. What you say really doesn't matter because honestly, in that stage of mind, my brain's not working anyways. You know, I can feel things, but this is not all working right. Being there tells me something. And my brain is discerning, are people worth my time? Are they going to be there? Is this a safe place to be? That's a huge part in rebuilding my new world. So being there is really just the thing.
I like
If you
it.
just start with that,
Yeah.
it's like you kind of can't go wrong.
Awesome.
I mean, yes, you can say dumb things, but the being there,
Yeah.
you start with that, you probably won't be saying
The dumb
the wrong
things.
thing.
Yeah.
I like it.
The
So,
dumb things.
where do people find you? if the people are listening and they need support, they want to reach out, where can they find you?
I'm on Facebook under
Okay.
J Ray. My son. I took my son's page when he passed.
Oh, I love
that was
this.
my way. Yeah, that was my way of keeping in touch with his friends.
Love it.
So it's JAYRAY. J Ray
That
Love
would be
it.
for
Thank
both
you,
of
Lori.
us.
for both of
For
us.
both of you,
Yeah.
Lori and
That
Raul
would be
and
both, yeah.
Nate.
Mine's not that. For me, it would be to visit my webpage, natemcclendon.com, and then you can contact me from there, or you can find out more about me or the book or things that I'm doing.
Okay, so one piece of advice for people out there that do not know how they're going to survive the death of their child. Lori?
It's a difficult road, and just know that you have to go through it. You have to go through it, and you will come out. You will come out of it. It takes time. It's difficult. It's a hard, painful road, but in time, it gets easier to breathe. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I look at the complexities and the, I guess depending on the situation, whether it's either a stepdad or not, or whatever the nuances are, it's a process, and eventually it gets better. It's not that it's going to get better or it's going to get easier for you to manage.
I like that.
I would say it's two things. There's the actual grieving of the person that you lost, and that deserves time and focus and attention, which we will do naturally. We're going to sit at home, go through photo albums, go through things like our mind is going to just be there. But what most grievers don't understand is that they died too. The person that you were no longer exists. You will never be the same. The world has changed. You have changed. We don't understand that, so we don't grieve that. You have to grieve the loss of your own self, your own life as well, and understand really the when we talk about like rebuilding your life or whatever it is, what you're doing is grieving the loss of you and then rebuilding you. That's different from memorializing or honoring the person that you lost. So there's really two different things that have to happen and do happen at the same time.
I like this. And, I didn't realize it was such an identity loss when my brother died. Who am I now? Who am I without him on the earth? I thought we were going to take this journey together. It was big. It was an existential crisis.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you all are pointing out so many good things. And I want to thank you today for being such guiding lights for everybody out there that's not as far along and that doesn't know how they're going to survive. So thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
And we always say on Open to Hope, if you've lost hope, please lean on ours until you find your own. And God bless. And we're going to close the show today with a musical piece from Nate. Thank you.
The loss of a loved one can leave you feeling depressed, angry, alone, lost. But you don't have to face this journey on your own. Open to Hope is a free community for anyone who has experienced loss. Find support. Find help. Find hope. Give grief a voice at opentohope.com.